As you can tell, we're in Greg Salter's office here, Covington High head coach, coming off of a 12-0 start and then a spot in state quarters. Yeah, state quarters, losing to Hanville. Coach, I guess this will be the last time I ask this question. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
How do you replace your school's all-time leading passer and the school's all-time leading rusher and one of the best receivers in school history all in 1 year?
It's definitely a daunting task. Certainly not going to be easy to do. But one thing that my grandfather always said was, they played football before he got here. They'll play it after, and he would say it about the players too. Covington High School had a great tradition before the Devin Brumfields and the Alfaros and Batises and you name them. We had a great tradition before, and it's up to this next generation to continue that tradition and not replace them, but join them and be a part of it with them. So it's not going to be an easy task, but it's we have some good young kids and kids that had the opportunity to play with those guys and learn from those guys, and they're going to be better off for having had that experience with them.
Is it safe to say defense may be ahead of the offense because of returning players, and early in the season it's going to be the defense that's going to have to carry while the offense kind of grows up?
Yeah, I would say that's fair. Mostly because of the experience factor. We have 4 full-time starters, guys that started from game 1 last year. Jawan Harrell, Avery Minham, Chandler Washington, and Corey Donovan are 4 guys that started all last year. And then we had a couple guys that came on late through the year. They developed throughout JV and everything else, got some quality reps early in the year. We were able to get some good leads and get them some experience. And then by the end of the year, Edgerrin Cooper and Kobe Amos were, they were starting going into that, that state regional and state quarterfinal game and playing at a very high level. So we have some experience there. We got a couple good seniors that have been waiting their turn, that have been backing up. Some of those guys mentioned before. I think it's a bunch of guys that have been, they've been waiting in line. They've been waiting for their opportunity, waiting for their turn, and it's their time now. But definitely more experience on that side of the ball. Offensively, we returned 1 starter. We lost 10 out of 11, all 5 linemen. Like you said, all-time leading rusher, all-time leading passer, second all-time leading receiver, and then actually Elgin Bell ended up with the third. It was either the 3rd or 4th best single season in school history, behind Keyjohn's 2nd best single season. So, it's again, it's not going to be easy, but we're excited about what we have coming back. We're not going to focus too much on what we lost. While we love them guys to death, it's time to move on and really appreciate what we have back.
Let's stay on the defensive side of the ball first. What would you say your biggest strength is? I mean, is it the secondary?
I think everything starts up front. I think games are won up front, and I love where we're at up front. Corey Donovan, has put on about 20 pounds since last year, added a lot of strength. And he was a young man. He didn't get to play a sophomore year because of the transfer rule. So he last year was his first year really playing. And, he has come leaps and bounds technique-wise and the little things, just pad level, all these little things that are going to really allow him to excel. He played well last year. This year, he's a lot smarter player. He knows what he's doing. He's a lot stronger, so I expect great things out of him. Kobe Amos is probably the strongest kid on our team. He weighs 300 pounds. He can bench press a car and squat a house. I mean, he's only going to be a junior. We're going to have him for 2 more years. But those 2 guys, as far as what they brought to the table last year, the expectations this year, and then we have Jonathan Calhoun, was a young man that played very well for us in JV. Just one of those guys. He was backing up Cody Turner last year, who was a 3-year starter. So he just didn't get as many opportunities last year. Not that he wasn't a very good football player. He just had a older guy, experienced guy ahead of him. And then our last guy up front will be Trent Rainey. Trent backed up Trevor Betts last year, who was a first-team All-State player. There's not a better guy that he could have learned from and been backing up and watched the way that Trevor approached every practice, every game, the way that he played, the pride that he played with. I mean, he couldn't have been following up a better guy, and learning from a better guy. So, I would definitely say, to me, it all starts there, and it has to start there.
when I was talking to Avery, he talked about how he's welcoming the leadership role, and he kept saying, I'm a lead by example guy. You're going to see me out in the field and they're going to follow, and I'm going to jump their butts if they don't follow.
Mm-hmm.
What does he do in terms of, yes, he's going to be very valued and important on the field, but especially, the summer and heading into jamborees and stuff. How important is he off the field, in the weight room, in the video room? I mean, it seems like he's somebody that is going to be really important for this team's success on the defensive
side. Well, he
does.
He sets an example through his actions and everything that he does. I mean, he's a 3.8 student. For us, he's going to be a 3-year starter. He, is a multi-sport athlete, but he's a kid that he's here every day. He is invested every day. He does not miss occasionally. His only misses in 4 years was once a summer he goes to church camp, and you can't argue with that. He is certainly excused to go to church camp, but that's the type of kid he is. That's the only thing that trumps football and his teammates and and all that is going to be his faith. So, but other than missing for that, he never misses a day. He doesn't miss reps. He's that guy that, if I need to push a kid in the weight room, that's who I put him with. I put him with Avery Nenham because they're not going to miss a rep. He's not going to let him miss a rep. But he does so, his leadership skills, he does so respectfully. He's not a loud guy. He's not a brash guy, but he's very respectful. He's very honest, and he treats everybody, with the respect that they deserve. And in return, they respect him for it.
Before we get to offense, your specialist. It was something. If there was one hole in Covington High last year, it was maybe sometimes the kicking game. Mm-hmm. Just tell me some of the people that we can expect in the kicking game this year.
No, the jury's still out. We'll cross that bridge. We've been working some guys. We've got some guys working over the summer. I'm not going to go through those names right now because it's all a work in progress. But we'll be we plan on being more improved from last year. That being said, we were, while we didn't have a standout kicker or anything else, we were very effective in the coverage game and everything else. We struggled a little bit on kickoffs because we couldn't get much depth on our kicks. So starting field position really put defense in a bind at times and in some crucial situations. So that's something. We have a young man, Lane Wasser, who's got a good strong leg. That's going to be a sophomore that I'm fairly confident we'll be able to handle the kickoff duties as far as the extra points and stuff like that. We're still working with some guys there, but luckily it wasn't something that affected us last year. We were able, and again, we had a senior group. We had so much talent and skill around that one position that we were able to overcome any deficiencies we may have had. But overall, we were still very productive in that game, especially in our return game. That's the other half of that, and I expect us to be very good in the return game again this year. So it's win some, you lose some at certain positions, but we expect to continue to improve at those.
At quarterback, Sheldon Bayham comes in, first year playing, but he's a senior, so you're only getting for 1 year. So basically, your training camp with him has been spring and summer. You feel like he's got it, or we're getting there?
I don't feel like any of us have it, and I won't, and that's our mentality is that there's always room for improvement, and we've got to continue to get better. He's certainly progressed, and we certainly like where he's at, athletically and physically and everything else, and he's getting better every day. But every day counts, and every day we have from now until we step on the field at the end of August is going to be beneficial to him. So not just him, but all of our guys. We got a lot of inexperience that we've been talking about. So we've all got to get better. We've all got to continue to improve. But he's certainly, him along with those other guys are taking the steps necessary to do that.
In the backfield, I know. I promised. My first question was, I said this is the last time we're going to talk about it, but. I mean, the hole there is you're gonna hear about it for at least the first.
I'm certainly gonna. That was certainly a safety net for the last 4 years. It was. You could always rely on Devin Brumfield. To get you the yards you needed, or put you in a position to be successful. He was just and there's no reason to not talk about him. I mean, he's earned the right to be talked about. We'll talk about him for the next 10 years probably, at least on these interviews, and then everybody in the town will talk about him for the next 40. But he was that good of a player. But look, what he did was absolutely mind-boggling. It was amazing. I haven't been around, or seen very many players put together a career like that kid had. And it's silly and far-fetched to expect anybody to do so anytime soon. Not that other guys that we have now or down the road aren't going to be better players, but just for him to stay healthy for those 4 years and produce the way he did is very, very rare. But we're excited, about what we have back there. Jeremiah Drive is, he's our lone returning starter from last year. He played the fullback position. He made some big plays for us throughout the year in some crucial times. But unfortunately for him, he was a year behind Devin Brumfield. And so Devin got those carries. Again, doesn't mean that he wasn't excellent back in himself, and I think he could have been, carrying the ball for a lot of teams in Class 5A last year. But for us, he had a role to serve, and it was at fullback, and we're glad we had him there. But now it's his turn. He's been working and waiting for this opportunity. He's done great in JV. He's done great in freshman when he was a freshman. I mean, he's gone through that same progression that all the other great backs have gone through at Covington High. And this reminds me a lot. My grandpa and I used to always talk about in the 70s. The college coaches in the 70s used to refer to Covington High as tailback U, because every year there was the senior running back, every year. And then the next year, some other senior would come in that nobody had ever heard of, and he was a one-year player. And they always, so they had 9 years out of 10 in the 70s where they had a guy on All-State as a running back. And it was, I think, only one of those guys made it twice. So it was a different guy every year. They had to wait their turn, and then when it was their turn, they excelled, and they benefited from that, that process and from that grind. So I expect Jeremiah to be that type of guy. I have, the same expectations I have of him is what I had for Devin Brumfield.
I'm interested.
And that's not going to change.
I'm interested to know if you had to have this conversation with Jeremiah of be you. Don't try to be Devin. Don't try to be, I've got to do, Devin did this, so I've got to do this. Did you have to have that conversation?
Or not necessarily just a sit-down conversation, but in passing. I mean, and that's the thing, and that's all you can be. Don't, you can't, and I think somebody asked me last year, how do you, do you have another Devin Brumfield or something? I said, or do you have somebody better than Devin Brumfield? So they don't have to be better than Devin Brumfield, and that's what I've told Jeremiah. You don't have to measure yourself to him. You don't have to be better than him. Devin Brumfield's not going to be the guy tackling you on a Friday night. You need to be better than your opponent, and that's all he's got to do. He's got to be the best he can be, and he's got to beat his opponent. Doesn't have to be better than Devin Brumfield. If he can beat his opponent as many times as Devin beat his opponent, he's going to be every bit as successful. So, and that's the way I look at it. So again, I think he's more than capable. Also, Edrin Cooper, he got a lot of quality carries last year, scored some touchdowns. He's a guy that's more than capable of going back there and getting some tough yards too. He's a special player. He's going to be playing linebacker, starting a linebacker, and he's going to be playing some quarterback. He's going to be playing some running back. He's just a heck of a football player.
I find it, if somebody were to ask me, what's the biggest key for a Greg Salter Covington High team to be good? It's simple to me, because when the offensive line is good and healthy, they're good. And when it's not, you struggle.
Yeah, no question.
You're having to, you're replacing arguably the best offensive line you've had in a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the players that are going to have to come in and fill, because they're all going to be new.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and look, that group that left last year, as good as they were, they found themselves in this exact same situation 2 years ago. They were all being counted. They were all new fresh faces, a bunch of nobodies replacing a bunch of seniors that had left that year before. The Will Warners and Nick Cotton, both of those ended up All-State. Fauntleroy, Luke Appy, and then Cazzaruni. All three, those guys all, were starters 2 years for us, and they were thrown into the fire, so to speak, their junior year. And it's kind of going to be the same thing, and they had some growing pains throughout. And we've got the same situation here, but I'm excited. I think this group has the potential down the road to be every bit as good as the one that just left. I don't see any reason why they can't. We've got some experience, a senior center in Davin Sharp. Our guard and Davin weighs about 220. Our guard Lane Furman, our right guard, came. We took him from the defensive side of the ball. He was a backup D lineman the last couple of years. Along with Trace Bland, who was another backup D lineman the last couple of years. Lane is about 265. Trace is about 290, I believe, right now. Both big kids, big physical kids. They're aggressive. They've got defensive mentality. So we brought them over to shore up our own line, and then we have a few guys battling out for his tackle spots. Trevor Rainey got a lot of reps last year. Trevor weighs about 255 right now. And then on the other end, we've got on the other tackle is Remy Bork. Remy weighs about 305 right now. He's had a great offseason as far as the weight room. I think he's come to every extra day, along with not missing a day throughout. And then some guys right there pushing them that are going to be juniors. Matthew Taylor, Peyton Mayo, Zach Bushnell going to be coming off an injury, but he's another guy that center-wise is going to be able to once he gets back from a shoulder issue he had in the offseason. He's going to be a guy that's really going to be able to push some of it. So, I think we've got a good, 10 guys that we can actually rely on. And look, they're gonna have to learn as they go. It's going to be just like with everything else. It's going to be a process. But I really, I think they have the potential to be a very good O-line and one of the better ones around.
Last position we got to go through. You're tall at wide receiver. That's a good way to describe it. But who else is going to? Tell me some names of some wide receivers.
So same thing. We keep harping on inexperience, and I don't mean to make a big deal out of it because I'm certainly it's not an excuse at all. We expect to produce right now, but we've got a couple new guys that have come in from basketball. A few new guys. Reggie Gauze is 6'3", Kobe Callahan is 6'4", Justin Lee is 6'5", and then we have a couple guys that have returned from last year that got a lot of reps. Bobby Showers probably being the main one that was returning from last year that got the most playing time. Bobby's about 5'11", real quick kid. Good route runner, tough kid. And then DeQuarius Peterson's going to be a sophomore. DQ is he's 6'3" already. So we got a lot of length, a lot of athleticism, and again a ton of potential. And I keep saying potential, but potential we all know is just something on paper. Potential isn't what's going to be the thing to translate, but the thing that will, and the thing that I like about this group is their work ethic. And this group, they're here, they're reliable, they work hard, they want to get better, and they know that they have a lot of room for improvement. They embrace that they need to continue to work, and they do that. And I think in the long run, it's going to be a special group. On the outside, one that I'm really excited about. But they are, they're still learning. A couple of them have never played football, so it is a transition. But all of them are doing so with the right attitude, right mentality. So,
I guess for what they lack in experience, 6'3", 6'4", and 6'5" is not too bad to start with that.
Right, that's right. You can't teach that. You can't coach height. Can't coach the that kind of stuff, height and speed and. In size, you can't coach that, but we can start from there and develop their technique and everything else as we go.
My last question: you ran through this district, and a lot of these kids were on the team, but just weren't integral parts of it. Mm-hmm. Do you think they're prepared? And much like with Lakeshore, everybody's going to in 6-5A is going to circle that Covington game. Is the 2018 team ready to get everyone's best shot because of what happened in 2017?
Well, they better be, because you're absolutely right. Last year, we were very fortunate. It was our year. So in doing that, you climb the ladder and you're at the top of the ladder and everybody's trying to knock you off. So, but it's something that we've certainly spoken about. Our expectations of ourselves have not changed one bit. Our goal going into last year was put ourselves in a position to win each and every night out on the field. That was it. One game at a time, and give yourself a chance to win on this Friday night. And that mentality hadn't changed. Whether Devin and Josh and those guys have we've lost 30 seniors to graduation. The mentality does not change. We expect on Friday night when we play Franklinton in the first game to be able to compete and give ourselves a chance to win that game. So, that's the way we're going to take it. That's the way, we're putting our kids, their mindset. That's all it better be on is Franklinton in that first game. And, and being a part of that tradition, not following the tradition of Covington football, being a part of that tradition. And we've, again, I think we've got the guys to do that. Like I said, defensively, there's a lot of hungry guys over there. This guy's Grant Savan is a kid that we're, expect great things from. That is coming off an injury all of last year. That was going to be a kid that we expected to produce last year and be a part of that. And he was hurt all last year. Savan, Jawan Harrell was probably our biggest playmaker from last year. And, there's just so many guys that are eager to leave their mark on Covington football.